nation with weaker representation. Thank you, Ronald, and back to Russ.
All right. So this is an interesting story. We're going to be talking about a company that has been boycotted and another company that's been boycotted that I think we should redouble our efforts to boycott. So McDonald's, you may have heard, has been the target of a boycott for some of its activities in Israel, such as giving out food to the IDF and certain advertisements they've done. So McDonald's at this point, this is very interesting. They're buying back all of the Israeli McDonald's restaurants. And I suppose the reason for that is they feel like they can't trust Israelis not to damage their brand by posting pictures of beating Palestinians while eating a Big Mac. So to get control over their brand image, they're just buying back all the Israeli franchises. So this is from the BBC. McDonald's will buy back all of its Israeli restaurants after sales suffered from a boycott of the brand over its perceived support for Israel. The fast food giant was criticized after its Israeli franchise gave away thousands of free meals to Israeli soldiers. McDonald's said it had reached a deal with franchisee Alanyal to return 225 outlets. It said in January the Israel-Hamas war had meaningfully impacted business. Widespread protests affected sales in the Middle East, Indonesia, and France. Alanyal, which is led and owned by Chief Executive Amri Padan, has operated McDonald's restaurants in Israel for more than 30 years. McDonald's uses a franchise system, which means that individual operators are licensed to run outlets and employ staff. The boycott of McDonald's was sparked after Muslim-majority countries such as Kuwait, Malaysia, and Pakistan issued statements distancing themselves from the firm. Vocal protests were staged worldwide as the grassroots boycott spread beyond the Middle East. As well as restaurants in the region, McDonald's businesses in France, Indonesia, and Malaysia have also been affected. On Thursday, the company said, McDonald's remains committed to the Israeli market and to ensuring a positive employee and customer experience in the market going forward. It also thanked Alanyal for building the brand in Israel. Mr. Padan said, "We are encouraged by what the future holds." Oh, boy. The U.S. company said the restaurants, operations, and employees in Israel would be retained on equivalent terms, though the terms of the sale were not revealed. Under Alanyal, McDonald's employs 5,000 people. At the start of the year, McDonald's chief executive Chris Kempczynski blamed the backlash on misinformation, but it hit the firm's financials nonetheless, and it missed its first quarterly sales target in nearly 4 years. The boycott was described as disheartening and ill-founded by McDonald's. I got to tell you, McDonald's stock usually performs very well. They usually, as this article points out, they beat their sales estimates. I don't get it, because it's like, okay, the only people when I was a kid in New York, like the New York hot dog, people ate that for lunch. Fucking New Yorkers don't eat that anymore. Only tourists eat that anymore. Who the hell is still eating this much McDonald's that they keep beating the quarter?
Misha's neighbor?
My neighbor.
Your neighbor?
Multiple times a week.
Multiple times a week?
Multiple times a week. She drives in and then walks to her apartment with a bag of McDonald's.
So your neighbor took Super Size Me as a roadmap,
yes,
rather than a cautionary tale.
A challenge.
The company relies on thousands of independent businesses to own and operate most of its more than 40,000 stores around the world. About 5% are located in the Middle East. In every country where we operate, including in Muslim countries, McDonald's is proudly represented by local owner-operators, Mr. Kempczynski said at the time. So long as this war is going on, we're not expecting to see any significant improvement in these markets. The company will be hoping that by taking the Israeli businesses back in-house, it can restore its reputation in the Middle East and meet its key sales targets once more. Okay, so the boycott is working in a certain sense. I can't imagine that the new McDonald's management is going to be coordinating any Big Mac giveaways with the IDF anytime soon. Keaton?
I mean, it's great to see, obviously. These are times where, as you brought up when we interviewed Jose just now, and as both of us have brought up, several times over the past 6 months, it's easy to feel like you have no power.
Exactly.
Because the people in power don't represent the now vast majority of people's attitudes in this country on this defining issue of our time. But everybody does have a little bit of power that they carry with them in their pocket. I mean, you can choose where to spend and not spend, and add it up, times 350 million of us. You can exert pressure and flex a bit of power in that way. And there are other ways to do it as well, obviously. But this is certainly one good one. I mean, I think as you said, I can't imagine it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, we were talking the other day. Sabby actually shared this. She shared a video about an app, No Thanks, I think it is, that will tell you if a product has ties to Israel. So I'm going to look into it. I want to do a segment on it while we're still out here.
We should just don't take a dick pic with that though, because you won't like what it comes back. Neither will I.
I will somehow resist the temptation.
Yes.
But yes, I mean, that's the way to get to these things, and we're going to get into that more in the next segment. See, this is the great irony. People seem to feel more powerless than they once did, but potentially they have more power than they ever have before. I am one of those who feels that we lost more with the internet than we gained because of what it's doing to people psychologically, emotionally, intellectually. But hell, man, I mean, if you're not getting rid of it, so use it for good. We have these now. They didn't have that, and they were able to organize and boycott and move societies and bring down companies and unionize without any of that. We have this, and people feel like it's too hard. You can't do it. Yeah, we can do it. And we are doing it. So in the next segment, we're going to talk about another company that is already being boycotted, but I would like to redouble our efforts, and I will explain why. Misha, to you.
All right. It's
Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical let me tell you. Shut it down. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have, you know, people being able to contact their family, if they don't have, you know, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators, and they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, you know, what we need, what needs to be done. And, you know, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, you know, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, you know, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, you know, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, you know, this system and those backing the officials running the system, you know, want people to believe that revolution means violence, you know, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. You know, when people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. You know, they get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, you know, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. You know, every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. You know, men, women, and children were murdered. And not just move babies, you know. What about all of the young men, women, you know, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, you know, by drug pushers? I mean, you know, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, you know, making a quick buck, you know. I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, you know, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, you know, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. You know, how long are people going to sit back and beg, you know, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years all you've gotten is a slap in the face? All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit